We talked for 20 minutes and we were exhausted.
Official sponsor, Speedy Stop.
I haven't been there.
What?
Yeah.
Have you even been to Port O'Connor?
No, the farthest I've made it is Seadrift.
Oh, okay.
Actually, here.
That makes sense.
I'm easing into Port O'Connor.
Well,
Speedy Stop has
like
everything you need.
It's pretty much the cultural center
Of
Port O'Connor.
Yeah.
Huh.
So not only can you get a breakfast taco there,
Yeah.
You can get a spark plug.
you can get spark plug. You can get steaks to cook.
All right, guys, welcome to another edition of the Skiff Wanderer Podcast. I'm joined today by two of my good buddies, Dylan Mendoza of DM Fly Fishing, and then Wes McNew of Onion Creek Fly Co.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks.
Of course, guys. To get started, how about you guys, let's just jump right into it and talk a little bit about, you guys are both fly fishermen, and you do a lot of fishing along the Texas coast. Dylan, you do a little freshwater.
I do.
Wes, you mess around with the freshwater?
At times, I haven't in a while.
It tastes funny.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's why I avoid it.
Mostly for drinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real good for that.
Why don't you guys go into a little bit what got you guys into fly fishing in the beginning? How'd y'all get started? Dylan.
Well, I grew up in Austin. There's tons of waterways around there, so it always seemed like when there was nothing to do, fishing was something we always found to occupy us. So it was just a natural progression for me. You know, I started, from the bottom, literally sinking bait and, whatever we could down to the bottom, and then eventually started working, our way up. And then before I know it, I was throwing flies off the docks and walking around the banks of Lake Travis, and anywhere that had water, I was, slinging flies at it. So, yeah, it was just a natural progression for me.
What brought you down to the salt?
Again, it was just another, piece of the puzzle for me that I always wanted to fill, Once you do the saltwater thing for so long, you inevitably want to, seek different things, and especially in Texas, that's kind of the overall package there. So, it was just something I always wanted to do, even before I started fly fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wes.
Similar. I grew up west of Waco, a little town called China Spring, and we had access to the Bosque and Brazos River. So as a kid, I mean, it was conventional fishing white bass run, stuff like that, running trout lines with my dad, just catching catfish and stuff for fish fries and whatnot. And then fly kind of came, I don't know, I think I just graduated high school and I was in Colorado for the summer. And it kind of picked it up. I was working at a camp, and I'd picked it up from one of the older dudes that worked there, that guided and tied and did all that stuff. So it started out, fishing trout stuff, and then came back home, and didn't at that point really know that it applied to, that I could go throw poppers for bass, or didn't register, and there wasn't a lot of people doing it. I don't think then, or if there was, I didn't know about it because social media wasn't a thing or anything like that. So I guess maybe, 7 years ago or so, I kind of picked it back up again, and realized that I could do it in freshwater. And I booked a trip with a guide, and went out on the lower Colorado and did that freshwater stuff. And then from there, it just was like, oh, well, I tried the salt. My first time red fishing was, disastrous at best. I couldn't cast it. It was frustrating, and for me, that just made me want to do it even more.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's how me and Wes met, actually. He called me to go fishing one day, and took him fishing, and we had a great day to start off with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Caught a couple nice,
it was cold
time, largemouths, yeah. And then all of a sudden, my trolling motor went out on me.
So
and
we had to cut the day a little short.
We had to cut the day shorter. Unfortunately, it was chalked up to be a pretty good one. But damn trolling motor.
Sounds like it became an adventure at that point.
Yeah, it was that was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. when you guys started getting into the saltwater or into fly fishing in general, do you guys ever think that you'd be working full time around it, or
Never.
part time?
I'm still not full time, but no, I didn't think so. I didn't think it would become, it would take up so much time and space in my life.
Yeah, and a lot of that you do now is you do a lot of tying.
I do a lot. Do some stuff for shops, a lot of stuff for just individuals, custom stuff, and then some lodges as well.
Yeah, and when did you start tying?
Right after that first saltwater fishing trip.
Was it out of necessity or just?
I think it was more so that I saw what what we were throwing at them that day, and I was like, oh, I could make this. Yeah. And I just had a baby not long ago, so I was kind of playing the role of the caretaker during the day for our kiddo. I think that's called being a parent, not a caretaker.
I wouldn't know.
But anyway, or that's probably what my wife would tell me. It's like, oh, you're a parent. So anyway, I had 4 or 5 hours a day on my hands while she was napping. So that's when I kind of picked it up. And then it was people saying, oh, can you tie this for me? Can you tie this for me? And it started out complete dog shit. But the more I got into it, it got better.
Yeah. And Dylan, you tie a bunch too, right?
I tie mostly for myself and for my trips and, clients and things like that. Gotcha. Yeah. Everything that I need.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of similarities, because Dylan, you guide freshwater and you guide saltwater.
I do.
Are you tying a lot of the same patterns for both?
Not necessarily. No. But both are all dependent on weight.
Yeah.
The weight is the number one question that I'll have, when I'm choosing a fly to tie. It's going to be, the profile, the size, all that. Color and materials kind of come after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, one day I wanted to take a bunch of, I don't know if it would work or not because I don't have a lot of background in freshwater fly fishing, but I'd want to take some largemouth flies to see how they do against a redfish.
I think some of them will be just fine. I mean, you could definitely take some of the stuff that you're throwing for redfish and catch bass with them.
Yeah,
for sure. Mm-hmm. A lot of your bass flies will probably be great Louisiana redfish flies.
Well, I mean, Louisiana, you could throw anything. You throw a hook at them, and then they get excited about that.
Right. Everything I throw bass wise though are all medium to large XL eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a similar hook size, or are you guys changing that up?
I'm probably just a little bit bigger. I'm probably running 2s and 1s.
I got you.
I'll even throw like a 1/0 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the profile of the hook these days. I mean, there's some 2/0s I'll tie onto bass flies.
Right. Yeah. But I've caught some fish like in some creek where I tied on a little redfish fly, this little bead chain thing that could come off as a little crawfish or something, and caught a bass on that.
That's pretty cool.
But it was, same situation. Saw the fish, side cast it to him, let it sink, and watch him, pursue it down and eat it. So it was like redfish on the fly, but feeding a bass.
I need to come up there.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. The falls is incredible. It really is. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I agree. I like fishing in Colorado in fall, winter, when the big bass get a little slow and deep. You just got to kind of mind for them.
Biggest fish of the year come from the fall and the winter, big time.
Yeah.
You get a lot of crappy days too, but if you line it up right, warming trends and things like that, some stability in the flows, you can have some really good days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which would you rather be doing?
Man, it's a hard question. I still ask myself that question all the time. I honestly can't answer it.
Yeah.
At the moment, I can't because I like them both, and for the time being, I'm going to continue to do both until I can maybe narrow it down. But I think that's all a part of it. It's the spice of life. Having different varieties of things and different options. So it's great. That I can bounce around and do what I do.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of guys that'll come bass fishing with you, and then they'll come down to the coast and fish with you down there too.
Exactly. Yeah. So another thing I do in the freshwater game is I guide for rainbow trout down in the Guadalupe,
which
River in New Braunfels.
Still, like when I moved to Texas, and I heard that for the first time that you could go catch rainbow trout in Texas, I was like, "What are you talking about? There's no way."
Right. And people knock on it. There's a lot of people that have their ill will against it and stub their nose against it and all that stuff. And, I've fished everywhere out west and have done, all of the wild rainbow fishing out west. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a 20-inch chromer, on the line. You're roping them with 2X and watching them go airborne because they've never been caught before. That's still something cool.
That'd be cool, yeah.
And it's a small river. It's very intimate. You can throw it 3, 4, 5, whatever you want, So if you take it for what it is at face value, you'll have a good time. And what I use it mostly for is development. Because I can take people that have never caught fish before on the fly, never even touched a fly rod, and they're catching multiple fish at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they don't get discouraged. They keep rolling with it. And it gets them encouraged to go on the next trip and the next trip. And, I kind of leave something for them at the end of every trip, where they got something to work on or something to look forward to. And then so for my business model, the next step would be bass fishing. And then we do that for however long they want to. And then we've got red fishing options available now too.
That's pretty slick.
So I've had customers go full circle where I've handed them, their first fly rod and they've caught a redfish with me now. So, it's pretty awesome to actually see that whole circle.
Yeah, that's fun, man.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool as a guide to just see that growth with a client.
Yeah.
Go from never touching a fly rod, because that's one of the things that like I've seen with fishing with guys that haven't really fished the saltwater or fly fish is it's a whole different game from freshwater, because you're sight casting. It's normally short, quick shots. The redfish are moving. They know the boat's there, so they're already kind of on edge. And you try to you can't explain that to somebody that's. I feel like you it's hard to explain to somebody that's coming down for the first time to fish the Texas coast or to fish redfish really anywhere. That look, this isn't fishing a trout stream out west. This is going to be fast. It's going to be quick, and you've got to be on your A game.
Right.
I think one of the benefits we do have in Texas though is you got opportunity.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunity.
A lot of warm, sunny days. So it's pretty nice.
Yes. Like today. Warm and sunny and blowing 30.
Yeah. Slight wind from the north.
Yeah. So we're actually down right now in Port O'Connor. We're supposed to be doing some prep work for the Borracho Pescador fishing tournament, and came down early. Cold front came through last night, so we the noon patrol is pushing it to about 3. It's gonna be the 3 o'clock patrol.
3 patrol.
Yeah, the wind's supposed to lay down, and we'll go get an hour or two.
Yeah. All right, so Wes.
Yeah.
Question for you.
All right.
If I was new to fly fishing, let's say saltwater, we're gonna narrow it down to saltwater for you, and I wanted to start getting some flies together because I was going to go on like a DIY trip and I had the mindset I'm going to figure it out, but I needed, a baseline. And I called you and said, hey, what are some flies that I should bring? What should I be looking for in flies? What would you tell me?
I mean, I would have some questions for you. Where are you going to fish? That would be the main question.
Yeah.
What are you fishing for? And then I would probably just, for me, I mean, I'll still throw clousers at redfish.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do the traditional bucktail. I'll put coyote fur on them, and just because I like the way it breathes a little bit better. But I would, if I didn't tie myself, I would try to find somebody that could, or go to a shop and ask them. Always support a shop if you can. If they're not there, then there's lots of tires out there that would be happy to help you out, and probably lots of them in the area, and just holler at them.
Yeah.
But like Dylan was saying about weight, like everything down here, I would stick at, if I was going to do lead, it would probably be small or extra small. and then all the way to just no weight at all. Past couple of days, we haven't been fishing anything with weight on it.
No, and it's definitely, and that's where like when I talk to people, I'd say, man, just go to the local fly shop and talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the knowledge you're going to get there is going to be great. Odds are they're happy to happy to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And then local custom tires are for the most part going to be helpful too. If they don't have something on their webpage or whatever, odds are that they can make you whatever you want.
Yeah.
So.
And you tie stuff though. You'll tie stuff everywhere from redfish to permit.
I tie a lot of permit flies.
Yeah.
I'm not a designer, so all I'm basically doing is taking patterns that already exist and either weighting them differently or coloring them differently for specific people or specific spots where they're fishing and what they think that they need for that. So it's if you're fishing 3 and 4 foot of water for permit somewhere, you're gonna need something that gets down a little bit better.
Right.
So I mean, I do a lot of stuff with medium lead, especially for like Mexico stuff.
Yeah. How much of that transfers over? Is any of it?
As in what?
Like if some of those permit flies, would you use them down here?
I could. I mean, if I made them lighter, I mean, a lot of that stuff is like, I mean, there's for Mexico. I mean, your three things is they've been around forever, and it's a EP spawning shrimp, a squimp, and a raghead.
Yeah.
That's been modified a little bit, like the original ragheads that you'd get from the fly shop or from mass produced. Have like a epoxy in the body, and fish can get that in there, especially a permit can get it in its crunchers and break that, and it'll twist up and the hook will twist and you're going to miss fish. So just using stuff that's going to be more malleable, flexible, and just knowing what those adhesives are that'll do that is part of the trick.
You spend a lot of time down there, haven't you?
I mean, not a ton. I've done 3 or 4 trips to Mexico and 1 trip to Belize. And I'm by no means am I consider myself a permit guru or anything like that. I've caught very minimal because they are, in fact, not super easy to catch. I've thrown at a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had some near meltdowns. Mentally, physically,
just
spiritually,
ready to quit.
Oh yeah,
walk away.
Yeah,
sell all your fly fishing.
This is stupid. Let's go bone fishing.
So I am with Sheepshead.
And then I just I had to remember at the end of the day, I paid money to be here, and this is fun.
Yeah, yeah, we're fishing.
I think.
No, this is fly fishing. It's a serious sport, and we don't laugh, and we take it very seriously.
Ooh, yeah, I forgot.
Don't laugh.
Sorry, guys.
No fun on the boat.
It's a no fun zone.
Yeah. That's
Zero
actually
fun, sir.
I don't know if you've caught any of the rough log, you'll notice that it's 100% business.
All business.
All business, all the time.
This is a business trip.
All right, sorry guys. I'm filming this at the same time, and I only got so much time on my camera, so we got to take breaks to fix the camera and refill drinks and other important things that have to happen for a podcast production to be grade A.
Good to have a break.
Yeah.
It's good to stretch.
We talked for 20 minutes and we were exhausted.
Official sponsor, Speedy Stop.
I haven't been there.
What?
Yeah.
Have you even been to Port O'Connor?
No, the farthest I've made it is Seadrift.
Oh, okay.
Actually, here.
That makes sense.
I'm easing into Port O'Connor.
Well, Speedy Stop has
like
everything you need.
It's pretty much the cultural center
of
Port O'Connor.
Yeah.
Huh.
So not only can you get a breakfast taco there,
you can get a spark plug.
You can get a spark plug. You can get steaks to cook.
Did you really get your spark plugs?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but they did have one size of spark plug in there. I didn't know what it went to.
Do they have carbon ring?
It's probably a Yami 250
tiller extension handles there?
I don't think so.
No, but they'd probably order it for you.
I got one on order.
But they've got some Waterloo rods gear in there. I don't know if they actually have any Waterloo rods because I don't really know much about.
One of my buddies left my tiller extension handle in the bed of my boat.
Nice.
And I didn't realize it.
And since it's carbon fiber and super light, it blew out.
It is not there anymore.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So I got one of those slick Minn Kota tiller extensions. Yeah. Which when you're running a 50 horsepower Tohatsu and you've got it jacked up, there's a nice good, I'd say about 30 to 45 degree angle in it, and you can't adjust the speed because of the angle.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not. I had to go and buy another one just so I had a backup because like this thing's gonna break.
Right.
In the middle, my luck in the middle of this tournament, this thing's gonna break.
Right.
So
I feel like some PVC and
I wouldn't do that.
No.
is that personal experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You use a PVC tiller extension handle?
I did not. Somebody else did, and we probably shouldn't even put this in the film or in the deal. Honestly.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Well, that's good that you got another one ordered.
Yeah,
that's pretty handy for lots. of
I
things.
almost ordered 2, but I was like, what are the odds that I'm going to lose a second one?
Right.
Does it have to come off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you just leave it on? I leave
Because
mine on the hog all the time.
it blows off. I just don't want it to get beat up.
Yeah.
Oh.
And normally, like, I pack my own boat, so I have it all squared away.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we were I was trying to make tacos for
Right.
breakfast. Priorities.
Yeah.
Tiller extension or tacos.
Right.
I think we all can agree.
It's tacos number one.
Tacos.
Well,
number
yeah, especially in the moment. But
Yeah.
now,
Right.
looking back, tacos maybe.
Yeah.
Tacos for
Yeah.
sure. I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
if you don't eat the tacos, you don't have the energy to
Hold.
use the tiller handle.
I tell you
know,
what,
so
I didn't realize how hard that motor was to hold without it. Until I had myself like 2 hands on it, just trying to hold on.
right, you're gonna have like the tennis arm before
Oh,
you know
my
it.
goodness.
You know, like Rafael Nadal. You know,
I
he's
don't
got
go to
that
the-
one jacked arm.
I don't go to the gym anymore.
Right.
I just
You
run.
don't need to.
I just run a
You got a metal
tiller
plate.
handle without an extension.
I've never ran a tiller, so I imagine that it's lots of vibration, and as you get it longer, like some of that
Yeah.
that thing absorbs some of it.
Yeah. Those carbon marine ones are really good.
They're
about
slick.
all that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend. You don't need one for your boat.
No.
No. You have a
We
console.
have a steering
It
wheel.
has a steering wheel.
What is that?
That's in a weird spot, so it's I don't know.
It's funny though. Like, so I drive ships professionally. Like that's my job, and I've yet to go on one with a steering wheel.
What
Really?
what do you drive a ship with? Just levers or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them had a lever, and the one I'm on now is Z drives, and you just turn it. It's kind of like having a tiller. It's pretty.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That's
Sometimes.
weird. That would be strange maneuvering something that big.
It was.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
Oh yeah.
Now
I mean,
it's just work.
yeah. Now it's just this is
Yeah.
what I do.
How far did you go on your last trip?
1,800 miles. Yeah.
Off
think-
the northeast coast, right?
We we ended up coming out of the Gulf, and we ended up go up to the northeast.
Yeah.
But normally, like my old boat, like we would go back and forth across the Pacific, which is 28 days of your life that you're not getting back, just staring at blue water and gray skies and 20-foot swells.
Yeah.
That must be pretty eerie.
Honestly, I'm so used to it
Yeah.
that it's just,
Yeah.
I guess
You don't get like cabin fever or anything like that.
I'll get channel fever,
Yeah.
which is where like I can't sleep for the last 3 days right before I know I'm going home. I'll be like, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I get to do this, I get to do that,
Yeah.
and then like just don't sleep.
Right.
And then normally the last day I'll sleep because I'm now so exhausted that
Right.
I have to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I've been up for 3 days and anticipating getting home, and now I'm home, and I'm going to do nothing but sleep,
Yeah.
which is always fun because you have your eyes and hope set on, I'm home, I'm going to go fishing and do some things that I want to.
Yeah.
But like last time, I mean, you literally got home at like 5 in the morning and met us
That's
at 9
right.
to
The
go
last
fishing.
time we were all
Yeah.
together, you showed up
Yeah.
at
I basically rolled up, got home the day before, got up the next day, hooked the boat up, and came to go fishing with you guys.
right.
Which, if you're a merchant mariner, highly recommend that plan of action on coming home, because that was a great day of fishing.
It was a good day of fishing.
Especially for getting a late start. We
Right,
noon
noon
patrolled
patrol.
it.
Noon patrol was at
That's
it
it,
again.
dude.
Yeah. But, weather's weather.
One day we're gonna have to fish a tournament together, just so we can have that team name.
We'll let everybody start at 8 too. And
My
Yeah.
goodness, if we started doing that and winning. What time did you guys start? Noon. How long did y'all fish?
3 hours.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
But what's crazy though is like after that, it started getting so hot along the coast.
Yeah.
That time of day, all the fish were like way down in the grass and stuff. Like they weren't moving; they were hunkered down.
Right.
And like we started we were going out sunbreak because by 11 o'clock the fish were done.
Yeah.
You could find them, but normally you'd run them over, and then they just peace out of your life forever.
Right.
Yeah. You see a bunch of blowouts, and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there went another one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's another.
So, a little bit more back on topic.
Yeah.
I am a good fan of tangents, but we'll ease it back in.
It was a good tangent. I mean, we could even talk about the tidal swings of why it was good at that time of the year.
Where we were
when we were noon patrolling it.
Yeah.
You know, we had the double tides.
Oh yeah.
So our majors were actually in the afternoon. So we were actually catching the falling tide of the second hump.
Yeah, see, we're not lazy or scared of weather.
We totally planned it, right?
Just super intense.
That was also a cooler day because of all the rain that had come through.
Yeah.
And it's weird. So, like, I grew up in South Carolina where tides are, you have to follow the tides. You have to watch what the tides are doing. And the rest of the weather obviously plays a role on where the fish are going to be.
Yeah.
But since I've moved to Texas, I don't follow them like I did when I was living in South Carolina.
Right.
Like I'll
change as much.
I'll check it. Like when I'm running out, I'll see where it's at and what it's doing.
Right.
But not like, okay, I have to be fishing at 6 a.m. because I have to be at the spot. It's going to take me, 30 minutes to run there. At that time, the tide's going to be coming out, so the fish will be coming out with it, and they're going to be at this point in the creek.
And I'm going to have like 30 minutes to execute this and then get out of there.
And hopefully they'll actually be there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, the guys that fish I think I've said it a few times, the guys that fish South Carolina, Georgia, those places with the big tidal swings, man, and catch fish continuously, like,
yeah,
a lot of power to those guys.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Just another cog in that wheel of everything having to line up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should go to South Carolina soon. I want to go to Charleston.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've never been.
You never been?
Never been. I want to go red fishing.
I got some contacts.
Yeah.
They might talk to me still.
Yeah.
That's cool. I haven't fished there. I've been there several times. I used to work for a band that was based out of there, and we'd be there quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful place to fish. It's a beautiful town. A lot of where I fish now when I'm home is Hilton Head, south of there. And it's the same thing. I think Hilton Head's got one of the largest untouched marsh systems left on the East Coast. So you get a lot of redfish moving through there. There's a lot of area to explore, which also makes it harder because
they can be anywhere.
They can be anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's definitely different because you're not so much fishing flats like we do. There are flats that you'll fish, but a lot of times you're figuring out which creek they're coming out of.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to, get into that creek and
set up on it.
Yeah. But no, what I wanted to ask you though, Dylan, is, with the freshwater that you do in the saltwater, how much gear changes do you make? Like I know that you're not using the exact same gear, but like, is there a lot of stuff that you bring down or you could bring down if you didn't have the arsenal of rods and reels and stuff that you probably have?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people that fish for bass fish 6s, 7s, 8s, and all of which you can use for redfish.
Mm-hmm.
My rods don't change. My fly line doesn't necessarily change.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much that'll cross over. The reels, same thing. I mean, a lot of people think you need this, $1,000 reel that's completely sealed and this and that. And granted, I mean, that's great and it's going to last you a long time. You still got to take care of it. Still got to wash it and things of that nature. But, you get, a mid-based, priced reel that you can use for bass and saltwater, or you already have for bass. You don't necessarily need to go out and buy you a specific saltwater reel, especially if you're only putting in, less than a dozen days on the water. I mean, that's not a big issue.
Yeah.
But, if you're starting to put a lot more days on the water, you'll, start to wear out, some of your cheaper gear and want to upgrade. And the reels will probably be one of the first places you'll want to upgrade. It'll start squeaking on you or slipping or just making weird noises when you're reeling or something
or just not work.
Or it might just completely seize up on you. But I've never had that issue happen to me. I just wash them and they're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too that like if you're just getting into it and you book a guide, you don't necessarily need to bring anything.
No.
It's there's no reason to, if you're unsure,
right,
like just grab one of the guide's rods. You know it's going to be set up to do what it needs to do.
Right. And again, if you're only putting in X amount of days in the water, you don't need to worry about any of that stuff. Just book a guide, and that's the least of your worries,
Save that money and tip your guide or buy some flies.
Right. But the same thing with the leaders. I pretty much build all of my leaders, so it's the same stuff pretty much. What I taper it down to is all, variable depending on situation. That goes for bass and redfish, but pretty much, same fluorocarbon monofilament, leaders that I'll make for different situations. But overall, I mean, I'm running like a 16, 17 pound test towards the end, and that's usually where I'll stay at with bass as well for majority of what I do, unless I'm fishing smaller stuff, smaller water and things of that nature. But even for redfish, I pretty much max out around the 16, 17 pound class, and taper it up from there.
Yeah. How much fly line difference is there? Like, cause I'm assuming like in the wintertime you get a little bit colder water. You see like a big effect, like will you change out fly lines when you're fishing freshwater and colder?
Yes, that's definitely when I will have a spare spool ready.
Yeah.
Because you put that warm water in cold water and it'll shrivel up and coil up on you and be a pain in the ass. Vice versa, you put the cold water and warm water, it does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or just get real slimy and slinky and not doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the most part, fish in the summertime, I think for bass, just, if you fish both, just get a good saltwater floating line, and it's going to punch bass bugs just fine.
Yeah.
What kind of taper are you messing with?
Just your standard, redfish, Titan taper type of thing. 90 foot, obviously. But just a, pretty heavy.
Do you use the
front taper.
Do you use the Rio redfish?
I use the Rio redfish, and I also use the Rio Flats Pro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those two are always in my arsenal. And it works well for bass too, turning over bigger flies and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't really need a long cast. The majority of that line is designed to cast around that 30, 45 foot window.
Yeah, which is definitely like with redfish, I know like that's where you need your accuracy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like if you were gonna come down and come fishing with you on the Texas coast, like that's something you'd tell somebody. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really need to be geared for the long shot. I mean, obviously that's great, but you can sneak up on these fish. You can let that window opportunity open up a little more, make a more precise cast.
Yeah. Unless, you get into what we were dealing with the other day where the fish didn't want to get within 50 feet of the boat.
Yep. And then you have those days.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's always like that happened to me again a few days ago where we were out, and it's something I've noticed. Like if you get in super clear water,
right,
the redfish, they'll see you coming and they'll start. It's counting. And all right, sorry guys, the recorder died on me. We were talking a little bit about gear, fly lines, and
leaders
and just basically kind of the gear that
the
crossover between freshwater and saltwater that you can or that you need or don't need or where you can kind of save some money if you're trying to do stuff DIY. Yep.
Big thing for me, I'll just go out and say it. With flies, with rods, I want a rod that can lift up a lot of line as well. Because I don't necessarily want somebody to make a 45-foot shot and feel like he's got to strip it in 20 feet to get to start his cast again. I want that guy to lay down 45 feet, strip in 5, and then pick up and make that correction.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one back cast, you know, and certain rods are just too limp, you know, they just don't have the backbone or fast enough action to lift that weight, you know, up over.
I'd say that line can play into that game too. Like, you know, you want something that has a little bit of a heavy head to it to punch it through the wind, but you also don't want something so extreme that it's hard to pick up.
And it's also a very hard presentation too, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like when they get spooky, you want that fly to just softly land.
Sure, you know, I mean, a lot of people, you know, think redfish are pretty stupid, and at times they can be, right? I mean, we had one eat in the leader yesterday. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you get layups here and there, and they throw you a bone here and there. But for the most part, I mean, they're pretty spooky fish, you know, and you got to control things you can control.
No, definitely, as I've gotten more and more into chasing them around on the flats and stuff, it's something I've picked up about how in tune they are with the environment around them. You know, like we were talking about, like clear water, they'll see you coming 50 feet away, they won't get near you.
Right.
I mean, you can see them just. I've seen where I've just gotten a little loud, and be like, "Oh my God, there's a fish!" and you'll see him turn.
Right.
Just your voice, you know.
Buddy
your voice.
slams the cooler.
Whenever.
God, I'm the world's worst at that shit. I'm so bad. My first time ever saltwater fly fishing with a guy that's actually been down the lower Laguna Madre. If that poor dude didn't tell me to not slam his cooler 10 times, I swear, God,
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
God,
You
it's terrible.
just watch him disappear.
it's like, well, all right, I guess we better go somewhere else.
Oh, every time, even like there's someone taking like a hard step off the bow into the boat, and you're like,
Right.
"Come on, man!"
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Or
float like a butterfly.
Or if a hatch is creaky and somebody wants to just stand on the hatch the whole time.
Yep. I took this guy and his, I think his 9-year-old son out fishing, and the kid was great. Ended up catching one or two, but
9 years old,
9 years old.
catching redfish on the fly.
No, he was actually on a spinning rod.
I get you.
His dad was still on the fly rod. So we'd get into this, you know, pot of him or whatever, you know, he'd chunk it in there and stuff. But, you know, there was a couple occasions where he ended up spooking the fish, or this, you know, we just didn't have a shot at the fish or something, you know, and fish would blow out and he would see that, and the kid would start to throw a little fit and bang his feet, you know, kind of stomp his feet on the deck. And, you know, we were in this big sand flat, you know, and I was just watching all these fish just take off. And, you know, for, you know, 50, 100 yards, you know, and I was like, damn, there goes the rest of our shots.
We're going to have a team meeting here real quick, guys.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely, I feel like that's something again, where like, you know, trout fishing. I know trout fishing, you can't, you know, make a ton of noise, but I feel like you can still get away with a lot more.
Especially if you're in like a river that's
running.
Think about it with
stuff,
trout fishing, you know, like they have that turbulence over the top of them that they like, and that's their cover, you know. And so when it's turbulent, you don't have to be as noisy, or you don't have to be as quiet. I mean, and you don't have to be as shy either. You can walk pretty darn close up to them, you know, until they blow out. But you know, for redfish, I mean, there's some occasions where it was just so slicked out and calm, you know, especially in the middle of summer, where it's beautiful conditions to fish. You know, you can see hundreds of fish, but the way you got to go about it is very, you know, specific. And there's times where I'd push up on fish and I just wouldn't even say a word, you know, or sometimes if I would say things, their fish would blow out, you know, or get weary, you know, or they would be cruising down the shoreline and all of a sudden just hold up in the grass, you know, or something where they heard either the boat or heard us talking or something. Yeah. So where I was like, I'm just not going to, you know, talk. I'm just going to, you know, the guy sees the fish and let him do his thing, you know, and a lot of times I think that was the difference maker of keeping that fish within casting range.
Yeah.
Or at least you felt that way that day.
At least,
that's what worked.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's so many variables.
Control what you can control, right? I mean,
absolutely.
That's what it is out there, is just picking up on any little thing that you know can maybe change.
That's there's a video that I want to put together at some point about kind of some saltwater fly casting tips. And one of the things that I'm going to put in there that I would tell people, like if people ask me about like, hey, you know, what kind of tips, I'll tell them, if you've got one of those little 35 or 45 quart Yetis, stand on top of it and practice casting, because when you shift your weight while you're casting, If you do it on that, you're going to fall.
Right.
And if you do it on the boat, you're not going to fall, but you're going to rock the boat, and that'll push out a wave that I've seen that spook fish, where no one makes a noise. The boat just kind of quietly just rocks, and it just pushes out, and the fish will feel that water change.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's probably more important than just talking at times. Now, having that theory, especially when you have a client you don't really want to talk to anyway, is great. Yeah. But, just the way sound travels in general,
big time.
I don't know, but.
Yeah. Especially, fishing with and against the wind, You fish into the wind, the sound doesn't travel as much.
Right.
You're fishing with your wind at your back.
You have to pull into the wind.
You do. You do.
I'm against that.
Well,
I've had
pick your poison.
Zach's had some conversations with me about, dude, we need to go into the wind. I'm like, you can pull.
Right.
I'm not doing it. I know. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Especially in the springtime when it's blowing 25 every single day.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the only way we're going to catch fish. Well, we tried.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We saw something.
I mean, not guiding has its benefits as to.
Yeah.
Well, that looks like shit out there today. I'm going to go ahead and stay home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas then, Dylan will have that same day and his client will be there
out there
ready to go.
Pulling into the wind.
Ready to not be able to cast into the wind all day.
Hey, got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely another big factor that we have down here on the Texas coast. Do you see a lot of wind, freshwater, where your freshwater fishing would play?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. Not so much in the river. You get a lot of protection from the river. But certain lakes and reservoirs that I'll fish.
Bass Drop can get kind of windy at times.
They get incredibly windy, and they're real open and not as protected, and so I'll look at the wind pretty regularly to see where the protection is coming from, and usually it's just you get the same wind in certain times of the year, right? So you kind of pick up on patterns at the time of the year, what shorelines you're going to fish or where you're going to drift through, knowing that you're going to have protection coming from, whichever direction.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think that's actually really, really good. As you were talking about earlier, you've got a lot of clients that you've started out with trout and on the rivers, and you've slowly worked them up to redfish. Mm-hmm. And I think having that ability to work with them in a windy situation before you put them in front of a redfish, because if you come fish down here, you're going to fish wind.
Yep.
You might.
You want to fish wind.
The glass calm days
suck.
Fish suck.
Yeah. Very rarely does it actually end up
good.
Yeah.
Unless the water's low where they're tailing and you can see them from 100 feet away, and you can make an 80
set
foot
up on make a hero shot and make it work, and that's great, but you're not getting close to them.
No. Right. The wind is your friend.
Yeah.
Just not too much of it.
Yeah.
Not today's wind.
Everything
not 30
in moderation.
knots.
Yeah.
I like those Goldilocks days. It's just right.
Yeah, just enough wind to break up all the
noise.
Horse
flies off you. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Or yellow flies or whatever they're
biting.
Whatever's biting you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
ruthless.
Yeah.
That's when you just get in the water.
I usually wear pants and I'm okay. Some of them will bite. Some of them will bite right through them though.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm not fishing with you.
Yeah, they'll just go all to him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, you'd be all right.
I'm actually.
Yeah, because I actually have run into the biting flies a couple of times down here, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you Cow Chip has a lot of flies. I haven't really fished Cow Chip.
I've never been to Cow
much.
Chip.
But,
is that a place?
Yeah, it's called Cow Chip because there's a lot of cow patties, on the border, on the shoreline
around the area.
Yeah. I imagine there's some flies around there.
Fished it sucks. Don't fish there.
There's no fish there.
Never heard of it.
Actually, fish it on a Saturday in high tide.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
You'll love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Pull north.
All right, fellas. You guys got any last advice for somebody that wants to come down here? Any last bits of advice? It can be anything you can think of that you wish somebody before you started saltwater fly fishing would have told you.
God, that it's going to be expensive and time consuming.
It's your life now.
Yeah. I realize not everybody has the addictive personality that I have. or most everybody. But man, I think just working on casting was my big thing, because I got down here and got up on the platform of a skiff, and all of a sudden I've got just wind everywhere.
Yeah.
And just developing a double haul, figuring out how to get the fly, at least being able to cast 30 feet.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
accurately.
Present a unfolded leader to a fish is the biggest thing. At the end of the day, if you can, there's lots of flies you can have on the end of it that they'll eat if you get it to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's just one of the most important things. I think, like you said, standing on a cooler in your backyard, no matter how big of a dipshit you look like.
My dog loves it.
Oh God, I bet.
Yeah, she knows what's going. When I pull that cooler out, she knows what's going on back there, and then I have to stick her inside because she'll try to eat the fly.
And I'd also suggest using a fly line for that is either an old line or not a great line, because the grass will eat fly line up over time, But yeah, just, and tie, I even use a tie like, it's just some craft fur and something on to a hook that I either cut the point off the hook or like just a shank.
Yeah.
To where I actually have something close to the legitimate weight that I'm going to be casting at that fish.
Yeah.
And then, turning the cooler around and casting into the wind in the backyard, or, figuring out, go to the park.
Yeah. Try to find some space.
Find some space to go be able to cast into the wind and see what that, because if you can't do that, I'm not saying that you're not going to catch fish, but your chances are going to go way down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say just do your research, understand that what we're doing is we're creating a scenario in which we want to be successful in, and how we want to catch this fish, not necessarily how they should be caught that day. So do your research on what you can control and what the situation's giving you, and just make sure you're covering all bases, wind direction, tides, sun or no sun, all of which play a huge factor on where you should go, and where you will potentially find success.
Yeah, I'd say that plays even more into I was using an example of a guide, and granted, you need to know how to cast no matter what you're doing, whether you're with a guide, and I realize that that's expensive and not everybody can do that.
100%, but kayak guys, or whatever.
And I think if you're getting into it, if you're just getting into it, I think if you can get on a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard or wade fish, it slows everything down a lot more. When you get on in front of a skiff, like it's fast. Everything happens fast, and you can't always position yourself where you got a good cast where you're not going to put the hook in the guide, which they're not fans of.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't be afraid to slap on some boots and just go out there and wade, and while you're wading, practice your casting.
Right.
But also, don't be afraid to stick that guide with a hook to make a shot at a fish.
Just don't be surprised if your phone call doesn't get answered.
Yeah.
Right.
Depends on how many times it happens.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, nowadays everybody's got, these little smartphones and stuff. I mean, do your research. Look, go online.
There's tons of information.
There's tons of information there. You just got to be willing to find it. You know, no one's going to tell you anything. No one's going to show you anything, because that's the culture around here, right?
Yeah.
Everybody finds their own, spots and routine and things they do, and we're all creatures of habit, so we all, circle back to those things. And that's kind of the beauty of it down here, right? We've got enough of that to where everybody has their own routines and tracks and so forth that very few kind of cross, and that's what's nice about here.
Definitely.
So use your phone, use your Google Maps and
open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen.
Just go out there and run it.
Yeah, and definitely, I think,
drive it like you stole it.
realize the more time you spend doing it, you know, the greater your chances of success are. Because I know when I started, I spent the first 3 months with my skiff and I didn't catch a thing.
Yeah.
Saw plenty.
Yeah.
And then one day it just clicked.
Yeah.
And now I still catch not as much.
Right.
But every now and then.
Right.
I get lucky.
Right.
All right. Well, sweet guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down with me and spread some knowledge to everybody. Real quick before we finally sign off, why don't you guys go ahead, because I'm going to mess it up, because if there's one thing I'm good at, it's messing up everything. Plug your fly tying company, plug your guide service, tell people where they can find you so they can check out everything you guys do fly fishing wise.
I can be found at onioncreekflycompany.com, on Instagram at onioncreekflyco. I've got on my website, there's some things there for order that everything's made to tie. So the thing that you do need to know if you're ordering flies from a individual tire, that odds are they tie everything themselves.
Yeah.
And it takes time.
Yep.
So that's the thing. I have a disclaimer on my site, 6 to 8 weeks. Odds are you're going to get them before then, depending on how much you order. But I do my best. I've never not got anything to someone before they've left for a trip or something like that. It may not be exactly when they want them, but they have them before they leave. I had to literally hand deliver some to a customer before I came down here that we were running real close, and I delivered them to his house the day before he left, but he got them.
Nice.
Heck
yeah.
Dylan? DMFlyFishing.
DMFlyfishing.net. You can find me on Instagram at DM_flyfishing. You can find my website, dmflyfishing.net. Contact me for trout fishing, bass fishing, red fishing, whatever you want to do, year round.
Jacks. You
name it. You name it.
All right. I'm going to leave links down below so that you guys can find all that stuff a lot easier. And then, that's all we've got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit like, hit subscribe, all that other stuff. And I will talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
All right, let's go fish.